Can John Lydon and PiL still deliver after all these years? Let's get into it, shall we? Well, I had the good fortune to see PiL at the Lincoln Engine Shed on the 4th. Plenty of rhythmic throb and spleen venting. Anger is, after all, an energy, and that certainly comes across in the performance. Interestingly, God Save the Queen is ranked as a lowly 175 on the Rolling Stone top 500 songs of all time. And who would have thought 48 years later I'd be stood before the very man himself, delivering his own brand of new wave, kind of funk outrage, and denouncing quite vehemently his former band, describing them as karaoke. What constitutes PiL these days is Scott Firth bass, Lou Edmonds guitar, and Mark Roberts, who's a new addition to the band on drums. Absolutely immense, by the way. And let's not forget the old checkered suit contrarian John Lydon, centre stage. An immensely charismatic figure, still playing to sizable audiences. Who would have thought he'd still be so commanding 50 years on from igniting punk with that debut album? Although I'd argue the Damned's album came out before that, if I'm not mistaken. Interestingly, Neil Young spoke of the ephemeral and transient nature of rock and roll. The king is gone, but he's not forgotten. Neil Young was very aware, of course, that his generation, the hippie generation, if you call it, kind of supplanted those legends of 50s rock and roll. But then he goes on to say, is this the story of Johnny Rotten? Perfectly aware that there's a kind of a new movement that will probably replace him. If this song was framed today, we'd have to ask who's going to replace Johnny Rotten, as we're all drinking in the Last Chance saloon, basking in the warmth emitted from the dying embers of rock and roll. Another 10 years, it'll all be tribute bands, I suspect. Anyway, I digress. Lincoln Engine Shed, PiL, that's what I was talking about. It was an intimate and atmospheric gig, there's no doubt about that. Lydon is at his best, I think, when the venue enables greater communication with the audience, greater interaction with the audience. And he performs well, proving that anger is not only an energy, but age is just a number. And let's face it, rebellion is ageless. PiL took the stage, immediately reminding us of this legacy of defiance and innovation. Dressed in a striking ensemble with trademark spiky hair, oversized jacket and baggy trousers with the brand new PiL logo glowing behind him. A logo that speaks of loss and grief. The band PiL lost Keith Levine, and of course Lydon lost his wife Nora quite recently. And I think Lydon has described the logo as a kind of a tribute. It's as raw and as real as the music itself. And as one reviewer has already written, Lydon's delivery is a masterclass in expressive, almost animated storytelling. His piercing stare and rhythmic jaw movements conveyed every ounce of the emotion driving this music. He started the show with a kind of a rebuttal to the audience. "Don't you rush me," he said. And that spirit, of course, was carried on throughout the set. Although the audience seemed a little bit flat, shall we say, for quite a while, pointed out by Lydon himself on the stage. Throughout the set, the band played fantastically. The musicianship was excellent, I've already said that. But the sound as well was absolutely pristine. I first saw PiL in 2013. It was so loud. It was difficult to comprehend what they were playing at times. And the clarity was wonderful, every note ringing clear, picked up by an audience of a certain vintage, shall we say. This is not the last torch is emblazoned across the back of all the t-shirts. Not just a tagline, but hopefully a promise. And one I certainly hope he keeps, playing this fantastic set, which is emblematic of the continuity and evolution of this band. Numbers like Flowers of Romance, Pop Tones, Warrior, and Shoom, I think, which I think was from the last album, was it not? And it was a great night. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and John Lydon was in fine feckle, I have to say. I will find the remaining tour dates and put them just below this video. I urge you to get yourself along. Anyway, if you enjoyed this short little review, I urge you to share it. Do click like, subscribe, check that notification bell. It all helps the algorithm find these videos. And check some of the links below this video for ways you can support the sterling work done at the channel. It's always much appreciated. Become a Patreon, why not? There's a fine body of work on there now, and we are forming a real classic rock community. Anyway, I will leave you with my closing salvo, which is hope you're well, staying safe, and of course that you keep listening.